$650, these are the parts you can get if you want to buy brand new parts for a gaming PC in 2026. But are they any good? Well, we're gonna put that to the test, as well as break down why we chose each of these parts and give you a few different options along the way, depending on if you have a little bit of extra money or you want to, squeeze something in here or there. And just a disclaimer, some of you probably won't like the decisions, but these are just what we have to work with. So starting with the motherboard, we decided to go with an ASRock B550. This motherboard is a full ATX motherboard and it only cost $80. The reason we went full ATX is because we got a really good deal on the case, which we'll talk about that in just a little bit. But AM4 is definitely what you have to go for a budget build these days. And so for the CPU, the best brand new budget CPU you can get is the Ryzen 5 5500. I know that it only has Gen 3, and for whatever reason, I had a lot of people on my short form content that were just knocking the Ryzen 5 5500, and that's just pure ignorance, honestly. It's just because, they hear hate from like all the other people. If you're not buying AM5 or something, people think it can't perform, and it's just not true. It's got 6 cores, it's got 12 threads. Yes, I know it only has Gen 3 support, as we've already said, but it comes with a stock cooler, and it's gonna work just fine, and it can run pretty much any game. Now, the SSD and the RAM are where we're really going to have some issues here because it's just expensive, even for DDR4. DDR4 RAM, 16 gigabytes right now, is gonna run you around $110 to $125, $130, just depends on what you can find. And this is for brand new prices. Since it is AM4, you wanna at least get 3200 mega transfers per second. I mean, 3600 would be great, but that normally adds a little bit extra to the cost. Now, you can go with used DDR4 RAM on eBay and save yourself about 50 bucks. But again, this is an all new parts build. We're not buying anything used in this video, which means SSD, we are only gonna be able to fit a 512 gigabyte SSD in our budget, and that's coming in at around $80. Sometimes you can find a Gen 3 NVMe for around $75. Sometimes you can find like a SATA SSD around $70 if you're willing to do that. I would rather have an NVMe. It does make a difference as far as like download and loading in textures and things like that. So we went with a 512 gig. This is a Gen 3 SSD from KingSpec. It'll get the job done. Now, the case and the power supply are going to be a little bit controversial because people just, unless it's Seasonic or Corsair, people just get mad about it. The case that we're using is this Roswell case. I'll have the name up on the screen because I don't remember, it's got a bunch of letters in it, but it's a full ATX case. It comes with 4 pre-installed fans, and it comes with a pre-installed 80 plus gold certified 650 watt power supply. And the 650 watt power supply is ranked C on the cult list. Yeah, it's ranked C. So take that, random TikTok comments. Now, guys, as everybody talks about this tier list as being some end-all be-all kind of thing. But guys, the tier list is not foolproof. Not every power supply on that tier list has been tested. Like, some of them have not. This is one of the ones that has not been tested. And it has a C rating, but it says on the tier list it's not been tested. Just like some other ones, like the Segotep power supply that I like and the Toasty Bros like. It's not been tested, but for some reason it got an F. You just can't go by like just blindly following those ratings. Like, yeah, there's some bad power supplies, sure. But for the most part, it's fine. It's really okay. If you got extra money, go buy you a better power supply. I don't care. But this entire combo only cost us $80 on Amazon. By the way, all the links for these parts will be down in the description. All right, now the GPU is where I want to talk to you for a little while because the GPU that we picked is the RTX 3050, the 6 gigabyte version. Now, a lot of people don't like the 6 gigabyte version. It gets a lot of hate, but it's the cheapest brand new graphics card that you can get right now. And I know, like, people are gonna say, oh, get the RX 6600 or get, 3060, which 3060 is just terrible price to performance. I don't know why you would even recommend that card. But anyway, that's beside the point. Even a 5060 would be, a fantastic option. That is true. All of those things would be better options than the 3050, but we're only doing brand new parts. However, I did have a lot of people on my TikTok comment one GPU that I do think makes sense in this budget. And that's this one. This is the Intel Arc B570. You can get it for only about $20 more than the 3050, which I think we paid $210 for this, and this was $230, the ASRock Challenger version. You will have to pick it up on Newegg if you want to get this version of the card. But what we're gonna do is do something slightly different than what we normally do. We are going to benchmark both of these cards to give you some performance to see exactly how it performs. And for those of you that don't know, we do this every Saturday, and sometimes on Wednesday is when we do these benchmarks. The PCs that we build or the GPUs that we're testing for these YouTube videos, so come stop by, answer your PC questions. But we're gonna test a few games with each of these graphics cards and show you how it performs and see how this goes.
A few moments later.
Now we're done, and the $650 gaming PC turned out pretty good. I didn't realize this at the time, but the RTX 3050 doesn't need external power, so that's why there's no cord there. And I did rotate the stock cooler, so that's why the AMD logo is up at the top. If you build it yourself and you don't rotate it, it'll probably be slightly turned to the left, but those are minor details. If you want to pick up any of these parts, make sure you check the very first link in the description because it has all the parts there on my Amazon page, and it really helps out the channel. We tested this thing at 1080p on our live stream that we do every Saturday and sometimes on Wednesdays, where we put these PCs or graphics cards that we make videos about to the test, where you can come hang out, ask your PC questions, and just chat with us. And if you want a specific game tested, become a channel member and just let me know. We started out with Warzone, and on the minimum preset settings, we bumped the render resolution up to 100% with no frame gen and no upscaling. And we got around like 65 to 75 FPS, which is definitely playable, but not the best experience in the world. But if you use DLSS and set it to quality, you can get around 90 or 100 FPS, which is a little bit smoother. And if you're one of the people that's okay with frame gen and doesn't hate it for no reason, you can get 130 to 140 FPS. Look, I know frame gen's bad, but if your base FPS is okay, frame gen is really not that bad. But we really wanted to stress this thing out with some other games. So we tested Cyberpunk 2077. And oh boy, was it rough. We tried ultra settings first just for fun, and it only got 37 FPS. Medium settings got us 52 FPS, and low settings got us 69 FPS. But since this is an RTX card, we had to at least try ray tracing on some of these games, and ray tracing medium only got us 28 FPS with DLSS turned on, and at low ray tracing settings with DLSS turned on, we got 41 FPS. I tried to do frame generation with this, but for whatever reason, I would turn it on, run the benchmark, and it would say that it was turned off, and I couldn't figure it out, so yeah, I probably wouldn't use ray tracing. However, Forza Horizon 6 is a lot more optimized, so we tried that. And at just regular medium settings, we got 58 FPS on Forza. Low settings got us 75 FPS, and the high plus ray tracing settings got us 43 FPS. So a little bit better in Forza because it's a little bit more optimized, although Cyberpunk is pretty optimized too. Just the 6 gigabytes of VRAM is just gonna hold you back some. But we also wanted to stress it out and play one more brand new title, which was Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. And this one was the roughest one of all. See, on high settings with FSR out the gate, it only got 37 FPS, which is what we got on Cyberpunk with no help. Low FSR set to quality, we got 47 FPS, and we had to use frame gen, which actually worked on Assassin's Creed, and we got 77 FPS. So you could still have fun and play the game if you really wanted to. Marvel Rivals, however, is probably the most unoptimized game that I've tested in a while, and I just don't feel like it gets enough credit for that. You know? Because on the low preset settings, this only got 51 FPS. Just insane. I know this doesn't have the best parts in the world, but you know, Marvel Rivals could do better. But if you turn off the lighting and reflections or illuminations and reflections, whatever it's called, you can get 68 FPS, which makes it playable. And with the help of upscaling, that bumped us up to 88 FPS, and with frame generation, we got 121. But again, this is a competitive game, supposedly. Could probably do a little better. But this next UE5 game is actually pretty optimized, and that's the finals. On low preset settings with the lighting effects turned to static, this actually got 110 to 120 FPS, which is more than playable for this game. And if you turn the lighting reflections to medium just because you want to add a little bit of that effect, you can still get around 90 to 100 FPS. I'm still very confused as to what to do in this game. But this is a budget PC, so let's see how it performs in esports titles. Starting with Rainbow Six Siege, we added this one because I got so many comments about it, and this game has changed a lot since the last time I benchmarked it. Apparently it's now harder to run than it used to be. And on the very high preset settings, we only got 122 FPS. Our GPU definitely held us back here, way more than I expected it to in this game. Testing was kind of weird. When I lowered the settings to medium, it actually lowered the FPS, which I think was just kind of like a fluke. But when we turned the settings all the way down to low, we did get a slight increase up to like 131 FPS. But again, our GPU was pretty much maxed out the whole time. I think that is the big limiting factor. But let's try an even more optimized game, CS2. Now in CS2, I know we got the ultra competitive people that like to do the 4:3 resolution, but most normal people like myself just like the regular 1920 by 1080p, so we test both those settings. So on low settings, 1920 by 1080p, we got around 320 FPS for CS2, and on the 4:3 resolution, we did 1280 by 960, which for me and my old man eyes is just way too blurry, but that gave us 338 FPS, which is pretty good. But then we have to try the greatest battle royale of all time, Fortnite. And at 1080p performance mode on Fortnite, everything on low except for view distance, that is on far, we got around 170 to 200 FPS. We played out an entire game, and even during building, for the most part, it stayed around 170, good enough for us to even catch a dub live on stream. But a lot of people hated the Ryzen 5 5500 in this PC, but I think it is a pretty solid CPU, especially on this kind of budget. So make sure you're subscribed, because we're gonna take the Ryzen 5 5500 and see how far we can push it with different GPUs in a video very soon.